and left and right and left and right and left and right and left and right and left and right, left, right, left, right, Little did I know that Scribe Bartholomew was 15 stories up, and I had to walk with the Protectron the whole time. And left, and right, and left, and right, and left. Sorry. Left, and right, and left, and right, and left, and right. This is what my life is, walking with this robot. This is what my life is, walking with this robot. He sees his robot friend. That robot's Jason. My robot says, "Hey, Jason." And Jason comes on over, and
Move along, please.
Tell each other. Is it this
Move
room?
along, please.
Listen, I'm just gonna go ahead. Hey, you stupid ass robot's taking his sweet time. Yeah, just go ahead. These are Bartholomew's quarters, sir. Please feel free to enter. Oh, I will. I'm gonna jam in there and slam my face into his face. Look at him over there. Look, reading his notes. Bartholomew, it's been many years. I wish to watch television with you. Bartholomew, have you come for medical treatment? My surgery is just down the hall. There's a robot there that's programmed to handle most conditions. I'm afraid I do make a small charge, but it's only to cover my expenses. I eat a lot of beef jerky. If you prefer a more personal touch, then I'll be glad to assist, but I should warn you that I have far less skill than the bot, and I may kill you. You're a doctor? Oh, I wouldn't claim that. I have some small skill in treating the common injuries, that's all. I once sneezed in a small puppy's face, also. My real skill is in keeping my medical bot operational. He's the one that you should talk to if you want treatment. Actually, I'm here for some information. Well, I hope I can help. What did you want to know? Have you ever heard of a Knight Peters of the Brotherhood? I heard that Stillman Sturker sent you some documents before he died. Stillman Sturkers. Have you heard of Knight Peters of the Brotherhood? The Brotherhood? It's been a long, long time since I had any dealings with the Brotherhood. Knight Peters isn't a name that I remember. What about Stillman Sturzacker Sturzambas? Sturz? Yes, I know Sturz very well. He was in the Brotherhood of Steel when I joined. We were friends. Kiss friends. He died several years ago, I'm afraid. He was living down in the capital wasteland when I last heard from him. Why do you ask? I heard that he sent some documents to you before he died. Why, yes, that's true, now that you mention it. Funny, I'd forgotten all about that. How he managed to arrange that, I'll never know. The only people I know of that regularly travel between here and the capital wasteland are slavers. And I find it hard to believe that Sturz would have parlayed with them. Still, he did indeed manage it, and your information is correct. I'd be surprised if there's anything in those documents to interest you, though they were just the journals he'd been keeping while he was in the Brotherhood. No secret information or plans for death rays, I am afraid. Just his researches into the Brotherhood's history. I was hoping there'd be something about Knight Peters there. Ah, you're Knight Peters, I see. Yes, that's very possible. Sturz was a very keen student of Brotherhood history when he was younger. Let me see if I can find the journals. He rummages. Time to rummage. Time to rummage. You gonna rummage? Time to rummage. Yes, here we are. Sturz made a very comprehensive index. I must say, the amount of work that's gone into these journals is quite astounding. I feel rather ashamed that I never really looked at them. Yes, Knight Peters. Let's see. Here he is. Yes. Oh, it seems he was killed during a scouting mission that went badly wrong. A caravan of civilians was killed. Oh, dear. Nothing especially noteworthy about that. Just another group of innocents turned into Brotherhood collateral damage. Seems Peter's wife committed suicide shortly after, leaving a son. Now, what's this asterisk? Nothing on this page. Interesting. Let me look a little further. Now, this is strange. Sturz seems to be suggesting here that there was something odd about this incident. Apparently, the elders took exception to what had happened, and Peters was disgraced. Oh. That's very unusual, to say the least. I don't recall the Brotherhood being especially concerned about civilian casualties. Any hint why? Was it the President's daughter? Well, that's what's interesting me. There's an odd notation here. What's that supposed to mean, I wonder? Unless it means... Huh, I see. I think it refers to a different book. Let me see if I have it. And then he looked at some more books. Man, you got a lot of books, bro. Books. Oh, I can't touch these books. Here's the book, but it seems to contain gibberish. A code. Ah, no. How interesting. Mirror writing. For some reason, Stirs seems to have felt the need to disguise what he was writing in this volume. Let's see if I can read this. Some stuff here about accounts. Seems Stirs was concerned there was some accounting irregularities. No, that doesn't appear to have been related to the Peters incident. Let's see. Well, now it's getting cryptic here. Real cryptic. Stirs refers to a Knight T who appears to have been with Peters during this botched operation. He says something up with Knight T, supposed to be Knight Peters, best friend. Something about his story doesn't fit. Now this is interesting. Knight T was Peter's only companion during the operation, so it was his report that resulted in something. I can see how Stirs was concerned. Dun dun dun! Surely someone in that position would have slanted their report at least a little to ensure their best friend was not totally disgraced. If there were no other witnesses to whatever crime was deemed to have taken place. You think this Knight T could have made up the story that got Peters disgraced? Anything in there that identifies this Mr. T? Made up story. Seems that Stirs suspected as much. For what reason, though, I wonder. Anything in there that identifies this Knight T? Let me see. Stirs seems to have done some asking around. Looks like he got into some trouble. Some of Knight T's friends were unhappy that he was prying. That doesn't surprise me. The Brotherhood fostered and encouraged a great deal of team loyalty amongst its knights and paladins. Now this is interesting. It seems that despite their closing ranks to protect him, some of his friends had their doubts too. It says here, odd news today, T is leaving the Knights, says he wants to become a scribe. When was the last time that happened? Nerd. Did he jump or was he pushed? Nerd. Anything else? Understandably, Stirs seems to have felt uncomfortable working around this Mr. T. Concerns about going east with T. No, nothing else as far as I can see. Mr. T. Interesting read, but in the end I suppose it comes down to nothing but suspicion and innuendo. It's all a long time ago. I dare say this T is dead now. Thanks for your help. I was hoping for more. Thanks for your help. I was hoping for more. Thanks for your help. More. It is a bit frustrating not to know whether there was anything to Stirs' suspicions, isn't it? But if Stirs didn't get to the bottom of it all those years ago, I suppose no one ever will. Excuse me. Why are you living in this hellhole? Hey, old man, why do you live in this house? Oh, why am I such a douchebag? It's a pretty nice place. Aha, a good question. I used to be a member of the Brotherhood of Steel, working as a scribe. After I left, I lived outside the city here for a while, working on a farm, but I was never comfortable with the life. Felt that I was wasting the few talents that I have, so eventually I moved here and began to work on these books. So you're a scholar? Oh, I couldn't claim that. No, I learned only early on in my days of the Brotherhood that I didn't have what it took to be a true scholar. I can read and enjoy reading, but the true scholar uses his reading to create new insights and ideas. I don't have that talent. I don't believe I'm stupid, but I just don't have that creative spark. What I do have is an attention to detail. And an ability to abandon a job once I have started it. I use those talents, if you can call them such, to rescue the past. All of these books here on these shelves have been written by me, although I am not the author of even one of them. What I do is scour the city for the fragments of books from the past, and I attempt to transcribe them here for posterity. Well, in truth, I pay others to do the scouring. They bring me books that I still have at least some intact pages, and I transcribe them. Of course, in most cases, only a small fraction of the original text is still legible. But over time, I've found that multiple copies of the same book tend to turn up. And I can use each new copy to fill in some of the blanks of the former. It's pretty cool. What purpose does that serve if you're the only one reading them? Whoa! Oh, that's certainly not my intention. I would be a hypocrite of the highest order if I were doing this only for my own edification. No, it's my intention to release these books to the world, to give humanity back its history, if you like. Hopefully I can find an organization that will be able to preserve, replicate, and disseminate the works that I'm recreating here. Wasn't that the intention of the Brotherhood? Perhaps, but the Brotherhood has lost sight of its original goals. Perhaps originally they intended that the knowledge and technology that they now covet and hoard would be disseminated. But now obtaining that knowledge has become an end to itself. The war ended 200 years ago, so why are they still holding on to their precious technology? They are like misers, holding on to their wealth so tightly that it ceases to be wealth at all. So you came here for the books? No, not really. You see, something happened when the Brotherhood arrived here, something they called the Scourge. If you read it from the Brotherhood point of view, they cleaned up this city. Destroyed the vicious vermin, the raiders, enslavers, and murderers that had taken over. It's true, up to a point. What they miss out in their account is the fact that the Scourge was merciless, pitiless, and indiscriminate. To eradicate the 20% of scum, they were content to also exterminate the 80% who were just people trying to scrape a living, like everyone else. After I saw that, I couldn't continue to be part of such an organization. The Brotherhood claims to be working for the ultimate good of humanity and affects a knightly code of honor, but strip away the pretenses and at its core the Brotherhood has an empty void. It's become a mere cult that has worship of technology as its guiding principle, and that cares nothing for the human race. Unlike Stirs, I was never a zealot for the Brotherhood. I believed in the ideas of rescuing the past to save the future, but I wasn't part of the cult, so when I saw what was coming, I couldn't stomach it and left. I found some people on a farm outside the city who took me in. I suppose it's a tribute to the human spirit that people were willing to take me in, knowing that I had been part of an organization that had just committed such a crime. I worked there for several years, but I couldn't find any peace, not after what I'd seen and been partly responsible for. I worked on, feeling that I owed those people so much, but in the end, I suppose guilt got me. I felt I had to come back to the city. Perhaps I wanted the city to kill me. I don't know. I'm not a believer in fantasy higher power, as Stirs became in his later life. But if such a power does exist, I guess it had other plans for me, as I survived coming back to the city. I found other people here and began treating them with my small medical skill. I began seeking out old medical textbooks to help me with my work, and over time, piecing together old books became first a pastime, and then something of an obsession. Oh, and what are these people you're helping? Who are these people? There are people scratching a living in the city, hard as it might be to believe. Surely you've seen them? Oh, I've killed them. You don't mean the wild men? Wow, man. Wild men? Ah, yes, that's what Asher and his people like to call them, isn't it? Wild, insane beasts that roam the city, shooting at anyone and anything, huh? It's true that disease and the drugs they take in a vain to attempt to treat it have sent some of them crazy. But the bulk are just frightened people trying to get by. Don't be taken in by Asher. They are wild because they refuse to be tamed by him and his thugs. Wild! Wild boys! He wants them exterminated because they don't conform to his warped vision of the future. They seem happy enough to shoot at me. You actually help them? Man, I'm a dick. I help them and they help me. I trade my skill, or rather my robot skill, in medicine, and they get me the supplies and the books I require. I count them as my friends. Aren't you concerned about the Trogs? I rarely leave the building, and my security system's pretty good. And one advantage of living here on the top floor is that Trogs do not know how to operate an elevator. So I'm probably the safest person in the city in many ways. Do you know anything about how Trogs are created? Like, can you tell me with the birds and the bees? Very little. Some combination of radiation and pollutants from the war causes the transformation, as far as I can tell. What is worrying is that there are signs that they are starting to breed. At first, it seemed clear that it was a degenerative disease, but recently I've heard reports of Trog fledglings in areas where there could not possibly have been any humans for years. If so, then we are not merely looking at the result of a disease, but at a whole new species. If I were a true medical man, perhaps I could research it, but I'm afraid I don't have the talent for it. And in any case, I'm too old for adventuring into Trog-infested areas. I thought he was going to ask me, could you go there? Tell me about Struzacker. Well, Stirs was a third-generation Brotherhood member. I remember him telling me his grandmother joined the organization back in the 22nd century, so he was kind of a fixture when I signed up, very proud of his Brotherhood roots, a true believer in the cause. He became a good friend of mine, but that came to an end, temporarily at least, when I decided to leave. Some very hard words were spoken, and I do think he might have killed me there and then. But it became clear when I started to hear from him again later that his reaction to my leaving was as much about his own feelings over the Scourge as it was to any feelings of betrayal by me. He stayed with the Brotherhood till they reached the capital wasteland, but broke up with them there. Maybe I'm responsible in part for that, something I have to live with. Reading between the lines of his letters, I get the feeling that he kind of went off the rails for a while, until he found a new religion to replace the Brotherhood. That's when he got in touch with me again. I wasn't really taken with this new faith of his, but it did seem to give him a measure of comfort. I guess that's the best any of us can hope for. Time for me to go!
Later.
Whoa! Just a moment before you leave. I have a request for you, or a proposition if you like. Oh, you want me to do something. Just let me get my pen out. Okay. What do you need, old man? What sort? Well, perhaps I should give you some background. One of the locals that I know, Sam Chandri, has been supplying me with medicine he's been pulling out of the ruins of the hospital. That place is, by all accounts, very hard to get into, but he managed to find a way in. Well, recently the place got taken over by an out-of-town gang, the Steels. Let me guess, you want me to get the meds for you? No, not really. I can get hold of the meds from other sources, although I have to admit the old hospital was something rather special in that regard. No, the problem lies with this gang. From what I've been able to learn, they control a large tract of the area around the city, although this is the first time they've ventured into the city itself. They're a despicable bunch. Their modus operandi is to feed people drugs, make them dependent on them, and thereby turn them into virtual slaves. In its way, I suppose it's a rather clever idea, getting people to turn themselves into slaves rather than the Asher approach of outright force. That seems to have been the method they have used to be able to control such a large territory with a relatively small force. What's any of this got to do with you or me? I don't wish to see the city turned into a war zone. On a personal level, I don't want to be forced out from here and lose all this work that I have poured decades of my life into. There are enough problems in the city with Trogs and wild men and Asher's raiders as it is, without adding a war between Asher and the Steels. If the Steels feel it's worth invading the city, that's what will happen. I'm still not seeing the point here. Where does this hospital fit into? Sam discovered that the hospital took delivery of a large consignment of a particular military drug just a few days before the Great War started. He brought back a batch of documents from the hospital shortly before the Steels took over. From a little research, I was able to determine that this drug was one of those super soldier drugs the military was working on before the war, designed to make the ordinary GI into some sort of superhuman. You think the Steels will try to use the drug to take over the city? Not directly, no. You see, the Steels are nothing if not experts on drugs, and they'll soon figure out that this chemical is easy to adulterate into a form of recreational drug that is terrifyingly addictive. Oh, one hit of the stuff and you're hooked for life. With the quantity stored in the hospital, literally tons of the stuff, the Steels could make life of misery for everyone in a 200-mile radius. Why haven't they done it already? The drug is stored in a massively armored vault. They haven't had the means to get in there yet, but it can only be a matter of time before they figure out a way. That's where you come in. If you could get into the hospital and destroy the drug, the Steels would likely have no further interest in the city and leave us in peace. Also, they'd be forced to continue their slaving operations with the relatively ineffective homemade drugs they've been brewing up to now. Holy Jesus! Options! Why can't this Sam friend of yours do it? Is he a bitch? We had a nasty run with the Trogs a short while ago. His days of creeping about the city are over for several months, I'm afraid. By the time he's up and about and going, I fear it will be too late. Can't you just let the Steels have the drug? Maybe they'll go away. I don't much like that maybe. They've stayed out of the city until now because they didn't think there was anything in the place worth fighting Asher for. If they find the drug, that will change everything. They are bound to start looking for more. If no one can get into the vault, how can I destroy the drug? That's the easy part. The drug has to be kept refrigerated or it rapidly decomposes. According to Sam, the vault in the hospital has been running all this time on a backup fusion generator. Turn that off and the drug will be destroyed. What's in it for me, Sam managed to get a small quantity of the drug out of the vault. He found the key, see. From my research, he discovered that the drug could be stabilized using certain simple sugars. And I was planning to see if I could make some use of it, but I would be very happy to let you have it. With the stabilization, it's nowhere near as potent as the stuff still at the hospital, but at least it doesn't degrade at room temperature. I'm sure that if you don't want to use the drug yourself, and I would advise against it, you can sell it for a good price. Sam's the key to the vault? Had the key. When he found the Steels had moved in, he destroyed it. A little inconvenient, perhaps, but I understand why he did it. Let's talk about something else. I'm gonna do it. There's one thing I should mention before you commit yourself. If we do this, it has to be done in complete secrecy. If the Steels get any hint that the drug was destroyed by any outside agency, then they will know the vault contains something valuable, and they will come into the city in force. That means you must do this completely undetected, or it's a waste of time. These Steels are not your average raider gang. Do not underestimate them. What? I have to sneaky McDeekies? Okay, I think I can manage that. Yeah, I can't do that. I suppose, sorry, I'm more of a kick in the front door kind of person. As long as you're sure. Thank you. Now, Sam gave me this key. It's the key to his secret entrance into the hospital. Where's the hospital? It's to the west of here, a few blocks. Look for a white building. West. White. Perfect. Where's Sam's secret entrance? What does it look like? He gets into the hospital through the drains, apparently. He said the entrance is about a block or so northeast of the hospital. Block northeast hospital. Drain. Nice. Anything useful you can tell me about the vault? Not really, other than it's on the 3rd floor and the generator is nearby. 3rd floor generator. How can I turn off the generator without anyone noticing? Sam and I discussed that problem. According to Sam, the last time he took a look at the generator, it was nearly out of fuel. It's been running for 200 years after all. If you purge the remaining fuel, it will look as though it simply ran out. The Steels will get into the vault, find a lot of useless base chemicals, and conclude that they have been wasting their time. At least that's the best we can hope. Bye! Bye, bye, baby, die, little, how you got so many robots in here, Jesus
Move
crikey.
along, please.
Sure got a lot of robots here.